68 teams to go on my road to predict all 131 teams this college football offseason. And we're on to the final team of the Pac-12 conference, the Utah Utes, and the final team in the Power 5 conference realm that I am previewing this year. The Utah Utes were a couple of early season losses away from being a real player in the college football playoff conversation. However, it didn't end up that way. Utah started off the season slow, but switched up their quarterback play midway through, and then were on a tear. Won the Pac-12, got to their first ever Rose Bowl, and played an absolute classic against the Ohio State University. Utah figures to be one of the better teams in the nation coming into 2022. So can Utah repeat as Pac-12 champs and maybe even this season find their way in the college football playoff? Or is this going to be a Utah team that falls back and maybe a little bit underachieves in 2022? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason. Guys, that means I'm doing your favorite team, so go ahead and hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when your favorite team gets uploaded. And for fans of the Utah Utes out there, you guys are going to know this team a lot better than me. So if you feel like I missed something, want to add something, anything of the sort, leave it in the comment section down below, and I'll be happy to see with what you guys have to say. So let's talk about Utah in 2022, shall we? This is my top-ranked team in the Pac-12 coming into the 2022 college football season, and I think it's clear and easy to see why. I mean, but besides some early season losses for this Utah team, this was a very, very good team. If they had beaten San Diego State, if they had beaten BYU and things like that, this would have been a team competing for that fourth spot right along with Cincinnati and Oklahoma State for the college football playoff. They were there. They were right there. This was one of the better, more exciting teams in the nation a season ago, and they proved that on both sides of the ball. Offensively, 431 yards per game with around 36 points per game, and defensively, the best defense in the Pac-12. 317 yards per game allowed with only around 20 points per game allowed. So very good stuff statistically on both sides of the ball for Utah, and they proved it with the talent that they had on the field there as well. Kyle Whittingham has done a fantastic job with this Utah program year in and year out, and now he has this program higher than it's ever been for a shot at a college football playoff berth. How crazy is that? Take a look at some players that are leaving and coming in. There is quite a bit of talent that is leaving this Utah team. It starts out with Charlie Brewer. Now, never really figured it out at Utah. Ended up transferring midway through the season. Had 484 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So you lose him. He is gone. Also, running back TJ Pledger, who had 694 yards and 6 touchdowns a season ago. He is gone and off this team. Also, wide receiver Britton Covey and tight end Cole Fotheringham gone as well. Britton Covey was the second leading receiver last year, 514 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an excellent punt man there as well. When you look at the defensive side, Patutow is gone. Xavier Carlton is gone. Those are a couple guys that you're losing off the defensive line. However, your biggest losses come in the defensive back 7. I mean, Devin Lloyd, the All-American linebacker, 111 tackles, 8 sacks, 6 pass defended, 4 interceptions with 2 pick sixes last year. He had an incredible season. As did Nefi Sewell, who was the second leading tackler on this team. 89 tackles, no sacks, but did get a pick as well. Was still one of the better linebackers in the Pac-12. You lose him as well as Mika Tafua. You lose him as well. He had 9.5 sacks for this team a season ago, and I believe that led the team. That led the team with 9.5 sacks. So you lose that production as well, and in the backfield, you lose Brandon McKinney, Latu gone as well out of the backfield, and then Vontae Davis you're losing there as well. So there's definitely a lot of talent leaving this Utah team. It was a very, very talented Utes roster last year, but there is a lot of talent that is still here, including quarterback Cameron Rising. The stat line will not make your eyes pop out, but Cameron Rising was a very good quarterback last year for this team. 2,493 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions for Cam Rising. And then running back Tavion Thomas exploded onto the scene last year, had 1,108 yards and 21 touchdowns for the Utah Utes last year. Really good season for Tavion Thomas. Look for him to have a 1,000-yard rushing campaign again in 2022. You also have Micah Bernard coming back as a running back. Had 523 yards, 2 touchdowns. Oh, and by the way, Cameron Rising, he could run the football as well. Showed that in the Rose Bowl against Ohio State. 499 yards and 6 touchdowns for this Utah team. When you're looking at the wide receiver position, Devon Vele, Solomon Ennis, Money Parks coming back at the wide receiver position. And then when you look at the tight end position, Brant Keithy is still there. Dalton Kincaid is still there. This is a really good group of wide receivers coming back for this team. Make no mistake about it. This is going to be a pretty solid pass-catching group. And although besides Utah and some Pac-12 fans, you might be like, well, who are those guys? You're going to find out. You're going to find out this year because a lot of the focus was, again, on Covey. Everyone knows Keithy and Kincaid. Now, probably with that Iowa State duo gone, the best tight end duo possibly in the entire nation, but definitely the best tight end duo in the Pac-12. When you look at the defensive side of things, Van Fillinger coming back, had 5.5 sacks last year, and possibly could be the most exciting player on the defensive side of the ball this year. And Junior Tafuna had 4.5 sacks last year, was really good for this team last year. Going to get a more increased role this year, and I think he's going to be excellent. I love his game. I love what he brings to the table. You get Mohamed Diabate, who I believe is the transfer over from Florida, Kareem Reed, back for this team as well. And then in the defensive back position, Clark Phillips, in my opinion, your best defensive back from last year, with 13 passes defended, 2 interceptions, did return one of those for a pick 6. You also have Cole Bishop and Malone Matele coming in as well for this team. So this is a very talented group, basically, is what you need to know. It's a Utah team that absolutely can win the Pac-12 again, and I think can even push for a little bit more. I think this is the team that can push for a college football playoff spot, no joke. As we take a look at this Utah schedule, bang, there's a game right off the bat that has your interest. They got to go on the road and play in the swamp against the Florida Gators. That is going to be a fun game to watch in week 1. There are going to be a lot of fun games to watch in week 1. Of course, you have Ohio State, Notre Dame. You have Georgia, Oregon. Everyone knows those. But Utah, Florida, whew, that's another one people are looking forward to, and for good reason. That's going to be an exciting game to watch. Other non-conference games, you got games against Southern Utah. The Thunderbirds should be able to win that one. And then at home against San Diego State this year, a team that they lost to last season. When you look in Pac-12 play, you got games on the road against Arizona State, UCLA, Washington State, Oregon, and Colorado to cap off the year. And games at home against Oregon State, USC, Arizona, and Stanford. So let's kind of dive on into this Utah schedule. We're going to start with the game against Florida. It's the most interesting non-conference game on this Utah schedule. However, we'll talk about San Diego State a little bit too. But Florida bringing in a Heisman contending quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Also, with Dan Mullen gone, they're bringing in the former Louisiana head coach Billy Napier. Louisiana has been up there in terms of power rankings and whatnot, and just in pure success in the Sun Belt Conference over the past couple of seasons. And Florida, kind of a team that people are like, they could be pretty good. They could be not that great. I think Anthony Richardson's going to win them some games in the swamp. Tough place to play in. That's going to be a great game to watch. And it's going to be a good test for Utah to go on the road. However, I am favoring the Utes in that game. That home game against San Diego State, same thing. I am favoring Utah, but make no mistake, San Diego State will come ready to play. That's a very, very good defensive unit, and they have been for many, many years. Of course, Brady Hoke coaching that team now. Watch out, again, for San Diego State. That's a good defensive team, and Utah's got to bring their A game on both sides of the ball. Got to be ready to play that one. When you look at the conference slate here, oh man, are there just a lot of games that jump out at you. I mean, Arizona at home probably should win that one. Colorado on the road probably should win that one. Stanford at home, you probably should win that one, although they do have Tanner McKee there. Oregon State at home, yeah, you probably should win that one, even though the Beavers are a team that's trending up. Arizona State on the road, who knows what the Sun Devils are going to look like this year. But man, at home against USC, that's probably going to be, could end up being game of the year in the Pac-12 conference. And then you've got 3 tough road games there as well. On the road against UCLA, on the road against Washington State, a possible Pac-12 sleeper. That's just waiting to wake up, and then on the road at Oregon, what could prove to be Utah's toughest game this year. Although Utah roughed up Oregon twice last year, so let's see if the pattern continues in 2022. I don't do game-by-game predictions. I do more percentage-based. I like to predict the team's record. So if the game is in red, I just don't see you winning the game. If the game is in orange, I still don't see you winning, but it is college football and upsets can happen. Yellow are your 50-50 or high upset potential games. Games in yellow or green are games that you should win, but you got to watch out for teams on the other side of the ball. And games in green are games I have you winning. So Southern Utah, Arizona, Colorado should be able to win those. I'm thinking you probably should be able to beat San Diego State, Arizona State, Oregon State, but watch out. Those teams can be tricky. Same thing with Stanford. Washington State is a borderline yellow-green, yellow game. I think Utah probably going to go in there and be able to win. But if Washington State's going to pull off an upset here, definitely could end up being this game. Washington State's got the talent to do so. Again, the Pac-12 sleeper that a lot of people are thinking can really wake up this year are the Washington State Cougars. So you got to watch out for that game, although I'm favoring Utah. But the games in yellow, those are going to be the most interesting games here. Of course, on the road at Florida, I think it's going to dictate a lot. If you lose that game on the road at Florida, you cannot lose another game this year. You just can't. You cannot lose another game this year. And when you look down the line, there are still scary games if you lose that game against Florida. On the road against UCLA, USC, on the road against Oregon. Lots of games that Utah could still potentially trip up on. So winning that one in the Swamp is crucial for this Utah Utes team because you got to go on the road and play UCLA. That's a team that can score a lot of points. We saw that last year, have a pretty good offense, and they have the potential to have an even better offense this year with some of the transfers they're bringing in. DTR, Zach Charbonnet coming back, some other weapons coming back there as well. And then when you look at USC, that's probably going to end up being the best offense in the Pac-12 with the amount of transfers, with Lincoln Riley coming in. But the defensive side of the ball, right? That's the big question for USC. Can that defensive side of the ball get good enough to where USC can really push for a spot in the college football playoff? Because I don't think people can deny, no one can deny that USC can push for a spot in the college football playoff. But the defense got to take some steps up. That's going to be a fascinating game to see where both of these teams stand when they play on October 15th. And then right there against Oregon as well on the road. Utah roughed up Oregon twice, once in the regular season, once in the Pac-12 championship game. We'll see if they can do it again in 2022. This is a Utah team, guys, that I'm going to be straight honest with you with. I'm very, very high on. I love Cam Rising. I love Tavion Thomas. I love Brant Keithy. I love Dalton Kincaid. I love Clark Phillips. There are a lot of players here that if I had personal rankings for just how I feel about players, all those guys would probably end up being top 10, if not top 5 on my list. I really do love all of those players' games, and I think Utah is destined for some really, really good things this year. I will be posting college football playoff predictions later this offseason after I do all these preview predictions. But I got the Utes going 11-1 this season. I do see them beating Florida in the Swamp. I will go out and say that. I do think they beat Florida in the Swamp. And I think that loss going to come in Pac-12 play somewhere, whether it be on the road against UCLA, on the road at Oregon, or at home against USC. I'll let you guys debate that one. But I think Utah drops a game somewhere on the schedule. And who knows? Maybe it is on the road against Florida, and then they run the table in the rest of the way. They start out 0-1, win 11 straight. But I think Utah very well could be on their way to another Pac-12 title and possibly a spot in the college football playoff. We'll have to see how the rest of the landscape shakes out. But 11-1 is what I got for the Utes. I'm really high on this team. I think this team can do great, great things in 2022. I can see this team going undefeated. That's my prediction on the Utah Utes. I really love this team, but let me know what you guys think about them in the comment section below. And be sure to like, subscribe, share the video. Whatever you can help support the channel really does mean a lot to me. And remember to play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.